Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. My name is Garrett Frazier, owner of Frazier Media Company, and we have Alan Cottrell on the channel today. He is owner of Taproot Marketing, located in South Louisiana. Now, I know Alan because we used to be at Southeastern Louisiana University. We both.
It was before that. We used to compete against each other in honor band.
Yes.
That's forever ago, way back in the gap.
From basically like middle school up.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad that you were able to come out here and be on the channel and meet us right here in Hammond, Louisiana.
Yeah.
I know you're a really busy guy right now.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on. And we're going to learn more about everything, all of the current pivots and the market changes that he can give us insight on. That way you guys will have more information about the overall the overarching story of marketing and the current what would you call it?
Climate.
The current climate
Yeah.
of marketing as a whole. Let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of your background though.
Sure. So my background was in video. I started doing video work at the transition from tape to SD cards and digital. That's how long I've been doing this. So everything that I learned how to do video-wise, we used to have to go buy the DV tapes. And I'm sure there's gonna be like some old timers out there. Well, I used to have to carry my recorder in a bag, but no. So we used to have to carry around DV tapes in our backpacks, and that's how we learned how to shoot. So when I graduated, I was told that I didn't have any experience, but like everybody else at college, they're like, you need to get a degree and go out so that you can be successful. And then when you get to go to work, the people that hire people are like, you don't have any experience. What am I going to do with you? And you're like, what? I've been doing this for years. So my first job at a school as an editor was $8 an hour. And in 2013, $8 an hour was still not a lot of money.
That's wild, yeah.
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 So I edited for a year at that rate. And I did get a raise.
You really stuck to it.
Yeah, I was just trying to learn, man. Like that's the one thing about me is in every job I've had, I've always tried to like, what can I get out of this job to carry forward? And anytime being a business owner, I do get people that call me and I've done meetings with students, and anytime they're like, well, how do I get a job? I was like, don't worry about getting a job. I said, your 20s is for developing yourself, and they're like, well, that's not great. I have to have money. And I was like, well, it is what it is. So I edited for a year at that rate. And then I figured out that the Costco opening here in Baton Rouge paid $4 more an hour. So I went there and I stocked and pushed carts.
Working at Costco? And then what were you doing? Like doing media on the side?
Yeah.
Or like,
yeah, I was still
kind of hustling?
I was still doing freelance video. I did some sports stuff still. I was still doing that's when I started building websites. I built my first website when I was at Costco, and it was for a client at the TV station that I had been working with, and I was still doing night work there. I would go at the TV station and I was still producing 2 shows for them on the weekends. So I would push carts on Sunday until 6 o'clock, and then at 7 o'clock we would go and we would shoot a sports talk show. And we did that every day. And that Mr. Charles Barbary, the guy that I did that with, just passed away this last year. But he had me build a website, and it started out like this. It was like, hey, you know how to do tech stuff, right? And I was like, yeah, I did. And he was like, you want to build a website? And I was like, never did the money thing come into it.
You're like, if I get paid, then...
No, I didn't ask for that. I was like, I'm going to pay it,
I guess.
But he never paid me a dime. And I started out on WordPress. I had to figure out how to make a WordPress site. I didn't even have a template. I was literally like blog style dragging like code boxes to get what I wanted. And it was for his little ministry thing that he had down in South America. There was this like priest that he was like sponsoring. So he was trying to get money in. And so we made him a website, and I learned a whole lot about what to do and what not to do with that.
Yeah. And customer service at the same time.
Yeah, I was trying to take care of him. Money never really came into it.
It was more of like it seems like he was just like, hey boy, you're good with computers.
That's accurate.
I bet you could do this.
Pretty much. He was like,
and you're like, okay.
I know you got the skill set. It's like, whatever, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So after I left Costco, I worked my up through the middle management there. I was doing sales, and that's where I learned a lot of my sales stuff. One thing about the Costco Corporation, and this again is like for anybody watching, it's really important that there is no such thing as a wasted job opportunity.
Okay.
Right? They put professional development into me a lot. Like a lot of the management stuff and managing people that I do now, a lot of what not to do I learned on Costco's time.
Okay.
You know, which, you know, I was 25 years old managing 53 people. So
it's actually impressive.
It was. And
whole team.
I learned a lot of what not to do. And then they put me in charge of sales because I was techie. So I did all the TV sales, iPad sales. I was the Apple specialist.
Okay. We were like at Best Buy within.
Correct. So they had their own little section. They call it major sales, and we were required to do 5 hours of training a week. So I learned about everything, insides and outs of products, how different TV arrays work. When I left that store, my last month that I was there, they just handed me a list of projects and said, work for 40 hours a week, finishing these projects. Like I knew ahead of time that I was leaving. I gave them like a month notice or whatever.
Yeah.
And I left there to be the marketing director for Ferrera, which is a regional.
It's a firefighter truck.
Yeah, they build fire trucks. And I was a part of a team for the first time, a marketing team, but I was largely the lone man on the island there. Like they had a graphic designer. That was the only thing that I outsourced. So if I needed website changes, I did it. If I needed to make videos, I did it. If I needed to learn how to do SEO, I did it. If I needed to learn how to do magazine spreads or even like graphic design stuff, or writing for social media, tracking social media, because I had a manager that I was reporting to, I had to learn how to do all of that stuff. And there was nobody to teach me because they didn't know how to do it. So I had to learn.
It was overnight you had to become a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, they wanted a video person. They hired me because they needed somebody that could do videos.
Oh, yeah. I was for like social media or for...
No, social media still wasn't a big thing then.
Oh, really?
So this is 2017, 2018.
Okay.
So like none of the TikTok or Instagram reels or shorts, you know, so I was producing business to business product videos.
Okay.
So like we would launch a new product line. I would make a video with it. I'd edit it down. Like some of my stuff is still on their website. It was really funny because I was showing a client now that I just picked up for business to business sales what I did almost 7 or 8 years ago. And he was like, I was shocked that the product videos that I shot in 2018 and 2019 are still on their website.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. And so like for anyone listening right now, for something like that, would you say that that's a really good way that they can kind of frame their products? This would be more for like a product-based business, right? Or could that also be applicable to a service base?
Well, the climate has changed a lot. The idea that somebody outside of a super specific niche market is going to watch a 10-minute product video is dead, right? I don't believe, like, if you're sending hey, we're a big product launch, make it a 2-minute video and then try to get them on a webinar. Yeah. That's where you're going to track that. The idea that you're going to make a cold sale off of somebody watching a 10-minute long video is 10 years ago. Nobody has the attention span for that.
And then you're just funneling them into an actual sales funnel.
Correct.
Yep.
You're gathering their data that way. You know, you can make money, you can make sales that way, but it's going to be cold. You're not going to get any tracking off of it. Yep. And you lose your opportunity to market them long. So like if I were to go back and have that same conversation, if they were to ask me to make a video now, right? And hey, we have a new product launch going on. We're going to make a video. What do we need to do? I would say that we'd make it 90 seconds long.
Yeah.
You know, and what we can get through in 90 seconds, the idea of doing a big walk around where we go through on everything, save that for the trade shows. Yeah. Save that for, you know,
like a setup booth.
Yeah. Yeah. Save that for the idea that you're going to mail that out to your customers. Nobody's going to watch it.
No. Attention spans have gotten so short.
No, we're down to, I think they said 1.8 seconds now. Yeah. If you can't capture a customer's attention in 1.8 seconds, you're not going to. So
we were watching Mythbusters last night, and I was bringing up that every single cut was 3 seconds or less.
Really?
If it was any type of B-roll, yeah. And I was out there. We had it on TV, and I was counting per second before each frame change, and it was usually between 1 second and 3 seconds. And then it's the next thing, unless it was an actual talking, like them actual talking, then you would get up to like 7-8 seconds.
And even then they're probably cutting away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
But even in terms of stylistically, you would do better to make a 10-second short and try to get them on your email list than you would to send them a 10-minute long video.
Yep.
Going over every aspect.
Yep. Using like a magnet link or something like
that.
Yep.
And that's for something extremely technical where it probably needs it. It's no telling how, if you were to apply that across the broader business to business spectrum, how that's going to apply.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so like fast forward a little bit more, and nowadays you're doing a lot of different things between, like, I know you have some roofing clients, you have some service-based clients.
Yeah, my main.
And then also LSU.
Yeah, so after I left Ferrera, I went to Southeastern and I was their social media specialist. I did that for about a year, and then they laid me off, and that's when I decided to start. My first business was Contractor Digital. The reason that I pivoted away from that had nothing to do with anything other than I felt that it was less brandable than my current company, Taproot Marketing.
Okay.
And I started out, my first few clients were like all social media clients. And I would just package it as okay, we're just going to do your social media for X amount a month. And that went well. You know, I had 3 or 4 clients kind of right off the bat, but it was a lot of work. I was doing a lot of running, trying to shoot content for 4 clients by myself.
Yeah.
You know, and not even mentioning the strategy or fractional CMO or any of the other stuff that I was doing that I wasn't charging for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They hired you just to get the footage, to produce it, but then not even like, even though you had to come up with actual strategy.
It went the other way. They hired me. I didn't, and this was my fault. You know, my mindset coming out of a salary job was to just get clients. It didn't matter what they did, and it didn't matter, you know, how much I charged. So I had some clients I was working for $500 a month, you know, and I was lucky. I had nonprofit work that was like keeping me afloat. But that's where the LSU thing came in. So I've been working for the SEC for 4 years now, which is incredible. It's an incredible side job. But I've got to work with some incredible people shooting for ESPN and shooting for the SEC network, and I've got to travel a little bit. Went to Auburn, I went to Ole Miss. I shot for the Banana Ball people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Savannah Bananas?
Savannah Bananas.
Yeah. That's wild.
I didn't really shoot for them. I was audio that day.
They're cool.
They are.
They put on a whole show.
They do.
It's wild.
It also was really chaotic, and it was the most chaotic production I've ever been a part of. So they have
videographers like literally running down the bleachers with the.
They have a fantastic organization, and they are absolutely going through growing pains right now because they
it's kind of exploding.
It is. And like their lead engineer got hired 6 months ago, and he's just like trying to get through this season so that he can get everything. But we had in my headset, I was responsible for miking for interviews and setting up all the mics on the field, which was not. I was hired to pull cable and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I went from.
So they just threw me right in.
Utility, and like I get there, and the head guy at LSU was like, "Hey, how do you feel about working audio tonight?" And I was like, "Okay." So I get there, and they have 2 directors, and I've never heard this. Anybody that's in live production will realize how batty this kind of is. I have 2 directors talking in my headset. Jeez. And this is how the call would go. It would be like, "Hey, can I borrow camera 1 for a minute?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, let me get off of him. Camera 2 up," and then she'd call camera 1. And there were they've had cameras where they're using both cameras at the same time.
And then they're like, "Wait, where did my camera 1 go?"
Correct. Yeah. Exactly like that.
Oh, jeez.
So it was a lot of fun. It was a great weekend. I don't know if I ever want to do it again though. That was a lot.
Yes.
So
I ain't kidding.
But yeah. So these days I've kind of pivoted. I'm doing a lot more content. First of all, I'm charging more. That was something that I found that once I started charging more, it became
Would you say the quality of the client got
by a lot.
Yeah,
By
a lot.
The nickel and diming went away.
Yeah. Yep.
But I find that I got the advice from my wife's uncle, who's a handyman, and he works with like the kind of really high end clientele in New Orleans and on the North Shore and stuff like that. And he was like, I never haggle. Yeah. He was like, my price is my price. Yeah. And when I started doing that mindset, it really kind of changed a lot for me, because if you can't afford me, the one thing about marketing is there's 10 people that'll do it for cheaper.
Oh yeah.
You know,
always. Or overseas.
The
only issue is that you're going to go back and forward with them like probably 10 times, and it's going to take quadruple the amount of time because of the language barrier.
Or even if you're dealing like and I didn't want to get into this like immediately, but half of the work I say in the last 5 years has been me coming behind other marketing companies and fixing their crap.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think the advancement in AI and software has made the floor for marketing very low.
Yeah.
Canva, I call it
So, like, in other words, you're getting people with literally zero training or experience that are coming in as a marketer.
Correct.
And they're like, hey, look, I can do this. I can throw together a landing page for you and charge you blah, 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 and then make kind of a living.
Well, it's not even that. It wastes people's time and money. Like, especially with the group of people I work, I've kind of settled in that trade space where most of the people that I'm working for, they have no trouble making money. Most of the time they haven't, you know,
Yep.
So the idea, and they have no frame of reference for how much something should cost. So throwing together a single page website and calling it marketing, expecting them to get clients, and then months later, they're like, why am I not getting any clients? And
Just a landing page.
You know, they're getting charged thousands of dollars for that to happen.
Okay.
And then I come in and I say, well, you have no Google business profile, or you're not posting on social media at all.
Yep. Several things.
Or you don't have a CRM, or there are forms on your website that lead to nowhere.
That is a big deal. Because a lot of people will think that a website is going to solve all their problems.
Well, it's really important. It is very important to have. Think about it like this. If you don't have an office, you have to have a website. It is your storefront.
Yeah.
It is where people deal with you. You can have your truck wrapped, but you're going to find that you're going to get a lot of calls, but people aren't going to. The average consumer looks at you 7 times before they choose to go with you. So if you don't have the information out there for them to look at, they're just going to go to the next.
There's no like medium for them to get to know you.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. Reviews only go so far, you know. The website is the new office space, especially post-COVID, where we're living in a world where half the country feels like it's working from home.
Yeah.
You know, and the ease of access that everybody carries around their little digital storefront. Now,
everyone's working in the cloud.
Yeah. You know, so if you're not producing, if you don't have a quality website that says who you are as a business and what you do and what you want to do, then you're cutting your legs out from under you. You know, word of mouth only goes so far, reviews only go so far. You have to have some sort of space so that cold clients can find you.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I think this is a really good transition point where we're going to get Seth to come in here and talk more about granular details of how to get these different modes in which you can get these clients to that said landing page.
Yep.
Hey, I'm Seth Murray with Fraser Media Company, Chief Marketing Officer. So I'm curious, what is your core philosophy for marketing going into 2026?
Well, so the clients I work with, like a lot of smaller marketing companies and people that specialize in small business stuff, they're working with limited budgets. So my philosophy is always going to be to figure out how to make their dollar go further.
Absolutely.
You can really, there are tools and programs out there that you can turn small businesses on. And this is where a lot of marketing companies get into the weeds. You're not going to market a plumber the same way that you market an e-commerce business or something that has a storefront, or something that's product-based versus service-based, or something that's business-to-business versus service. You can't apply a blanket marketing strategy across the board. And I feel like the mistake that a lot of marketing companies that are starting out, that's what they make. Yeah, they have a basic idea of what they want to do, but you can't apply it the same. So what I tend to do whenever I'm working with a sort of client and I know that they have budgetary limits is we're going to find out what their pain points are first, right? I want to make their dollar go further. Where do they feel like they're failing? And if it's whatever it is, let's just say that it's SEO. That SEO is where they just don't have a lot of they haven't done it well, or the company they had, or they haven't done it at all. I'm going to figure out the best way to spend their dollar on that. And everything that I do in 90-day blocks. That's the other thing. I feel like some strategies you can execute in a shorter amount of time, but you can't really execute it in a longer amount of time. You need to be revisiting with the client every 90 days and checking in with them. So finding that sweet spot of balancing the amount of marketing spend they have to match the amount of sales that are coming in is going to keep you in front of them longer. You're not wasting their money. I often tell clients that if your marketing budget outpaces your sales, you're losing money. If your sales budget outpaces your marketing budget, you're losing clients. Or is it the other way around? I'm really sure. So
you was right.
But so I try to find that sweet spot. So back to the philosophy question, I'm going to try to work as much as I can with clients to find out what those pain points are. And we're going to address those first. You can't build on a foundation that's broken, right? And usually pain points, there's a lot of validity to them. I feel like I'm losing clients because I'm not getting enough calls. Okay, how can we get more calls? I feel like I'm losing clients because my website's not good. Okay, what can we do to update your website? If you only have $1,000 a month to spend, what are we going to do, and how are we going to be able to work with you to stretch that out over a certain amount of time to get you results?
So really kind of taking the problems and then writing a prescription.
Sure.
You're kind of only attacking what's a pain point for them and maximizing your efforts.
At first, one of the things that I think is really predatory in the marketing industry are these cold callers that you get. I don't know where they come from. They always have a Cupertino, California
phone
number, right? I don't know if that's really specific or too specific, but it just seems like that. Hey,
a lot of call centers there.
Yeah, so we get a phone call and they're like, "Hey, we can get you 150 leads a month for $250." And as somebody that's been doing this for a while, like, I look at that and I go, "That's crap."
Yeah.
But there are business owners that believe that. I'm working with a guy right now that a marketing company messed his stuff up so bad he went from getting 150 calls a month to 0.
Ooh, good.
I came behind them and he called me like desperate. He was at the point of desperation. Now I haven't turned the ship around yet. I've been working with him for 2 months now. This is how bad it was. They broke his Google verification. They broke his ad account. His website is garbage. I'm going home and trying to work on that tonight. It's like they had services that he didn't offer. They had language in there that would have gotten him in trouble with the licensing board. Like if they would have published his website, he would have gotten fined thousands of dollars for bad verbiage on there. And if you're a company that specializes in marketing, these are the questions you'd be asking yourselves. And again, this comes back to understanding how you market different companies versus you don't. You can, like, I know that one of the other clients I'm quoting right now is a financial advisor. And the question that I'm asking myself is, okay, how am I going to market this guy? Because you can't throw dollar amounts around. You can't.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
You can't throw percentages around. You can't make promises. Like, there are a lot of things that can get your clients in serious trouble. And again, this goes back to the skill floor being so low. You get a lot of these marketing companies that come in here and they make those mistakes. That's why it's important to work with experienced people. And there are marketing companies that are niche down. There are marketing companies that are broad. But if you hire a marketing company that aren't asking you the kind of questions like, hey, what are the do's and don'ts of your industry, then you need to be wary.
Yeah, for sure.
As a consumer and as a business owner.
100%. I froze up there. I'm sorry.
Let's ask me this question.
So with that being said, what do you see as kind of like the biggest mistake that most businesses, right, the average business, that are getting caught in these scams of these bad marketing companies and these underqualified people, what's the biggest mistake they're making in general in their marketing?
Oof. Marketing, so you're talking about hiring a marketing company or their marketing in general?
I'm talking about, let's start with the marketing company in general. Right?
Okay, so there is a misconception amongst many, many business owners that social media is going to solve your problems. That if you hire a social media person, that they're going to make sales for you. So one of the questions, like and this is a misconception that comes up all the time when I'm doing discovery calls or first meetings, that the misconception is people believe that you start posting on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, that it's going to be something that's going to magically turn your sales
overnight. Yeah.
And that may have been the case 10 years ago, but a few things have happened, right? So Facebook changed. It was in 2021, I believe. Maybe they lost a lawsuit, right?
Okay.
They lost a lawsuit. Apple lost a lawsuit in the UK or the EU. I mean, that resulted in Facebook having to completely change the way that they collect data.
Okay.
And because of that, it changed their advertising practices. So you may have heard people say something like, hey, I was getting thousands of views on my videos before, but now I'm getting none as a business owner. That's why. If you're not giving them money, then go to the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just that's the truth. And yeah, you can still build organic following, but pay attention to the way that you consume media, right? You're scrolling your stories on Instagram. Who do you see first? The people that you most recently followed.
Every time, yeah.
Not the people that have the most followers, not the people that you interact with the most.
Yeah.
So if you're not, like, a great example, let's take the Saints. I have to go look for Saints stuff because 8 months out of the year, I don't interact with their stuff when they're not playing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when September comes around and I want to know what the score of the Saints game is, it's not showing up in my feed. I have to go look for it.
Yep.
You know, and that applies to every business. So how do you combat that as a business owner? Throw a little money at it. I used to do what I call, and I don't know, I haven't done this a lot recently, but I used to do what I call it micro advertising, where I would throw just $10, $15 into an ad and just let it run for a day, just to keep them at the top of the list. And I got better engagement doing that. But the main thing that business owners, the misconception is that they just start posting, they're going to get ads, or they're going to get more leads, or they're going to get sales, or get phone calls, and that's just not the truth.
Yeah, no. It's super competitive now online, really. I would say, would you agree that strategy is more important than just randomly posting at this point?
It really can save you money. Like, you may think about it, hiring somebody that's experienced, that's going to know where to put your dollar, versus somebody that's going to shotgun and see what sticks, you know, is probably the best decision that you can make, because it is really, really easy to waste marketing dollars. You can throw thousands of dollars down the drain into the wrong sort of pie and get nothing back from it.
I think that's common too.
Oh yeah,
it's very common that, you know, and did people spend, or they'll hire somebody and then drive all this traffic and say, well, ads don't work, say marketing doesn't work, you know, and it's like, well, it works for everybody else.
I really often, so, and this is a little bit more stylistic to me, but again, this goes back to my kind of upbringing. I'm a little more old school. I'm the older, I'm an older millennial, right? So I still remember the days of TV ads and magazines and
the good old days of advertising.
The good old days of advertising. I wasn't working then, but I still consumed that stuff. And I often take a mixed bag. Here in South Louisiana, where I live, you can get just as much traction off of a cup of coffee than you can. And it's tough to say that as a digital marketer, right? All of my stuff is digital, but I do take a lot of lunch meetings too.
Yep.
You know, so as a business owner, if you're not out there in your community, you're not. This is a great example. I was just doing this SEO thing. We'll talk about SEO a good bit later, but I was doing an SEO training where I was like talking. They were talking about how important it is to be a member of your Chamber of Commerce, and which is crazy to me, because they were like, guess what the best way to provide a validated backlink is? To be on your Chamber of Commerce's website.
That's a trick right there.
You know, that is
Our audits dealer there.
Yeah, we did a marketing audit on our site, and it said the same thing. It was suggesting listing with commerce.
Yeah,
and see a huge improvement.
Or giving to charity, or being involved in your local community. Those golf tournaments that they spend thousands of dollars on to sponsor, you might not get a single sale off of it, but it shows that you're a sponsor on their webpage, on their masthead.
Yeah,
you know, like, and that's just a backlink. Or, you know, I do a lot of B&I stuff, You know, I've probably made about 25, 30 grand over. I'm sorry, I just spit all in. 25, 30 grand over the last 4 years off of that. You know, but I have guys on there that have made. I have a marketing friend of mine. She just moved to Oregon. She got all of her clients at a BNI.
Really?
Social media specialist. Didn't get a single client off social media. Every one of hers was word of mouth. Go into those meetings. So
That's why we say video is the new word of mouth.
sure.
It work. You cannot replace human interaction.
Nope.
Right. And no matter how advanced digital marketing gets, just like you were saying, I don't think you can ever outpower a good old cup of coffee, a lunch in, shaking hands, getting to know somebody. It's like, if you have no money, that's what you should be doing.
Well, and that's the other thing is like, that's the cheapest form of marketing. I tell every client, I can say, you need to schedule one lunch meeting a week. I don't care who it's with. Find somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's my first advice that I give to every single marketing client is like, what are you doing to promote yourself? And they go, well, I'm hiring you. I said, no. I said, you're a business owner. You're an entrepreneur. Like if you want to be the boss, you got to get up there and shake some babies, man. Or hands or whatever they say.
Shake them, kiss them, baby. Shake them, kiss them.
But I don't know. Maybe that's a real Southern way of looking at it.
I think it translates across the world, man. You know, they all praise human connection more than anything.
People don't do business with companies.
No, they don't.
They don't. They do business with people.
People do business with people.
You know, everybody's. I got my guy at Google. Shout out to Komash. You know what I'm saying? Like, I email that dude back and forth all the time, trying to get Google stuff taken care of. You know, I don't call Google.
Had a relationship.
I just email Komash. You know, he'd be like, "No, I can't do this for you," and I'll be like, "Okay, well."
What? So speaking of which, you said you got a guy over at Google, right? So you've been doing a whole lot of, business listing, SEO optimization, honing in those Google profiles?
Yeah. That's a place I kind of identified where there's a need in the market, especially in my market. But a lot of, you want to get your Google profile, you almost want to treat it like another social media source. Because it is, to a certain extent. Google, what was their social media thing called? You remember when they tried to push it through? They like integrated it into YouTube and everything.
Oh, I don't even remember, but I know exactly.
It's like 5 years ago. But anyway, when that failed, they pushed it into Maps.
Yeah.
Right. So you can post photos, you can post videos, and you need to be posting photos and videos at least once a week on there. But I figured out that there was kind of a niche in the market. Now, to do that, now I do it as a flat rate. It ends up being way more work on some than the others. But one guy I worked with had a marketing company that got him de-verified. You have to be careful whenever you're updating information on Google, because if you can't prove you have a physical space and you're supposed to, or like what this guy did is he had a physical space and sold out of it, no longer had that address, and he just changed his address to his house, well, that sets up red flags all over their automated system. And no hate on Google, but man, their customer support is rough to deal with. If you break your verification, you're looking at it's basically a 2-week round trip email to
just get started.
To get started. So if you send hey, I want to get re-verified, and your verification fails, like they'll give you the opportunity to re-verify. If it fails, you're looking at least 2 weeks to get an email back. And then every time you send an email, in my experience, it's taken 2. Hopefully, maybe some people have better ones. But the couple of clients that I've worked with where we've had trouble getting them verified for X number of reasons, it has been a long time to get it verified. That's why it's important to work with a professional. That's not going to break your verification in the first place.
And I'm going to chime in here. It's more important for you as business owners to get a notification to take care of it, because Google is a pain if you get de-verified.
And it's a safety thing. You don't want people showing up. Google doesn't want people showing up to addresses that are dangerous or that are non-existent, or that decreases the fidelity of their service. So they vet the hell out of the people that are using their service, because what happens to Google if they send somebody down what was the one that happened in Australia where they had 2 places that there physically wasn't enough, there was no gas stations in between, and there wasn't a car that exists that could drive from one place to the other, and people were getting stranded in the middle of the desert because they ran out of gas. They don't want that kind of thing to happen.
Yeah.
That's why they vet the heck out of their programs.
It's good, because we all know here, I feel like it was just 5 or 6 years ago, and I think you could probably think back on this, when everybody was just using virtual addresses to get verified on Google and get listed. And they've done a good job at combating that now.
Yeah.
Now it does make it more difficult on people that actually have brick and mortars, but it's just like, I think that's the big thing that where you're finding that service is keeping that business verified, making sure you're doing it correctly. That's obviously turning out to be a huge thing.
Yeah, and it's important. It's as important in my opinion. The website's the most important, but Google is a close second.
Oh yeah.
Like if you're not showing up on Google and you're not showing up because you've left stuff blank in your Google business profile, that's super easy to fix. And as a business owner, as a marketer, it's really easy for me to diagnose because I can go in and say, well, you left this, and this blank, and you go, why? And they don't have an answer. Or they said, I didn't know I needed to fill it all out. Or the wildest answer I get is, I didn't want that Google to have that information. I was like, man, they already have it. What are you talking about? You have it on your phone. Like
I can see everything.
So maybe that's just the conspiracy theorist people I work for or whatever.
Okay, so you may not want to share this with everybody, but you brought this up before we cut the cameras on, that there's a kind of a new strategy for SEO.
Yeah.
And it's getting tremendous results fast. Right?
Yeah. So the first thing you have to understand is the landscape for SEO. Google knew SEO. I'm not going to tell you anything that the people that do SEO aren't talking about because, but the kind of shift in SEO comes down to some way that Google changed their indexing. About 3 years ago, they pushed everything into their maps.
Yes.
So the face of Google on your phone and on the web became the map app. If you notice, anytime you click on any sort of business, anything, it's going to lead to a map page that kind of corresponds to their Google Business Profile page. Before that, and still, the real only way to get results SEO wise was to do keywords. You would name your images in a certain way, and all of that is still good. That is still good information. That is a great long-term strategy to build your brand online, but it's not going to get you stuff fast. The way that the SEO specific, can you say that 3 times real fast?
I only want to.
Yes, SEO specific agencies are doing this. Is they'll charge you, they'll put you on contract for a year.
Yep.
I want to do $3,000 a month for a year to do your SEO, and you're going to be $24,000 to $36,000 out of the pocket before you're going to get your first phone call. They're going to write blogs for you. They're going to do backlinks. They're going to do this, that, and the other. And it works. It really does. Mm-hmm. From 2004 on, that was the best way to do it. There are SEO specialists now that are kind of reframing that. So when Google switched that index, they changed to what they're calling an entity-based system.
Okay.
Where a page on your website showing up as an entity is going to rank you higher and faster than if you were to just do blog post. Some of the case studies that we've seen with that, we're talking about businesses that were getting hundreds of calls but nothing of value. So the way that they do that is you're writing copy in a way that's going to be hyper specific and hyper local to that business. So say for instance, you're here in Hammond, downtown Hammond, right? And you are a marketing company. You're going to say, we do content creation on Moore Street in downtown Hammond.
Okay.
And you're going to set that up across 3 paragraphs. So you're going to talk about how quick you do things. You're going to talk about your turnaround time, and you're going to make a page for Moore Street. You're going to make a page for the next neighborhood. You're going to make a page for Southeastern. You're going to make a page for Ponchatoula. You're going to make a page for downtown Ponchatoula. You're going to make 30 pages across every service that you make. That's going to allow you to be hyper localized and rank higher for that specific service and that specific neighborhood. And you set this up using AI to tell you, okay, what are people Googling now in this neighborhood? And it works really well for business to business and service-based businesses because you can hyper localize each page for each individual entity. And once Google hits 3 entities, so say somebody Googles media company Hammond, you're going to be Fraser Media, downtown Hammond, video creation. And it's going to show up right there on 2nd or 3rd, and you guys have done nothing outside of create that page.
So this entity you're referring to, so let's say we applied it to a roofer, right? Common service business we use.
Yeah.
So instead of their normal, you're basically just saying copy their current landing page that just discusses their roofing service, copy it, make a duplicate, and then go in there and add the neighborhood specific words and do that for every single
for every neighborhood. It's a kind of a play on how they were doing city pages.
Yeah.
But instead of doing city pages, you're doing neighborhood specific pages. Google is taking, I don't know the exact mileage, but like a certain amount of mile radius around and hitting the key points. And so if you search for roofer Hammond near me, they're going to literally do that. Roofer Hammond near me. So if you say that you're on Warren Street and they're on Cherry Street, well, that's near them, right?
Okay, it's just practical.
It's practical.
Practical.
It kind of dumbed it down, to tell you the truth. Like before, you used to have to like do things to trick it, where you would say like you would name your image like Hammond Cherry Street .png, and you might show up in the images, right? And people might click on it that way. It seems a little bit more practical. It's similar. It's not. The main thing is it's ranking faster. It's not that much different than what people were doing, but the way that we're seeing is we're ranking people in 2 weeks now versus 6 months.
That's crazy. 2 weeks to 6 months. That is crazy.
And the heat maps show that. So I'm working with a plumber right now. I can come back in a month and tell you how well it worked out. So.
Yeah, 2 weeks, guys, that's crazy. How do they get in touch with you if they ever need something like this done?
Sure. So we're currently going through a rebrand. You know, I'm rebuilding my own website, so I'm gonna apply some of this SEO stuff to my own stuff. But you can find me at www.taprootmarketingla.com.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
A couple hometown boys cut it up.
Hometown boys, yeah, I love South Louisiana guys.
Yes.
All right, everybody, we appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.